Virgo, get ready for tomorrow. Yes, for tomorrow, not someday, not when you're ready, not after you've suffered enough or proven yourself worthy um, or completed some mysterious cosmic checklist. Tomorrow, which means roughly 24 hours from right now, give or take, depending on when you're reading this, and what time zone you're operating in. And I can feel your skepticism radiating through screen. Your brain is already doing that thing, that protective thing where it translates rich into slightly less broke, where it downgrades life is going to change forever into maybe things get marginally better, where it converts tomorrow into eventually, probably never. But saying tomorrow sounds dramatic. Uh, your skepticism is learned, is scar tissue from disappointments that promised and didn't deliver, from hopes that got crushed, from times you believed something good was coming, and what came was more of same struggle, wearing different mask. But your skepticism, however earned, doesn't change what's organizing itself to arrive, doesn't slow the momentum, doesn't prevent the shift that's already in motion, whether you believe it or spend next 24 hours bracing for disappointment. Here's what you gonna be rich actually means when it's not clickbait fantasy. Rich isn't billionaire, isn't yacht and private jets, isn't never working again, isn't fuck you money that solves every problem through unlimited resources. Rich is relative, is having significantly more than you have now, is jumping income brackets, is moving from can't pay bills without anxiety to bills are handled and there's surplus, is shift from scarcity baseline to abundance baseline. For some of you, rich is 50,000 extra arriving, is debt getting wiped, is finally having buffer between what you earn and what you need, is breathing room you've been gasping for. For others, rich is hundreds of thousands, is investment paying off, is business breaking through, is salary jump. That's multiple, not percentage. Is windfall through inheritance or settlement or sale or opportunity that's been building invisibly. For few rich is actual wealth, is millions, is life reorganizing around money, arriving in amounts that create permanent shift, not just temporary relief. Whatever your version of rich is, whatever amount would constitute significant increase, would change daily stress, would open doors currently closed, would create options currently unavailable. That's what's coming. You're rich, not someone else's definition, yours. And starting from tomorrow means initiation point, means tomorrow is when first domino falls, when first piece of evidence appears, when shift becomes detectable, not just theoretical. Why tomorrow specifically? Why not today? Why not next week? Because today, right now, you're still operating in old paradigm, in old patterns, in old financial reality. You're in final hours of that reality existing as your baseline. Tomorrow is threshold, is crossing point, is when new pattern begins establishing itself, even if establishment takes time to become fully visible. And tomorrow is soon enough that you can't dismiss this as vague eventually. Can't mentally file it under nice idea, but IR relevant. Tomorrow is concrete, is something you can mark, can notice, can watch for, can wake up tomorrow and pay attention differently, can notice what arrives, can recognize opening when it appears instead of being on autopilot and missing it entirely. Tomorrow creates urgency without panic, creates readiness without requiring you to wait indefinitely, creates timelines specific enough to be real but close enough to be relevant. What life is going to change forever means beyond just money. Money arriving starts cascade, doesn't just affect bank account, affects everything, affects stress levels. When money isn't constant source of anxiety, nervous system relaxes, sleep improves, health improves. Mental bandwidth increases because you're not spending it on constant financial calculations, affects relationships. Money stress creates relationship stress, removes ability to be generous, creates resentment, warps priorities. When money shifts, relationships shift. Some get better. Some reveal themselves as transactional and fall away. Either way, change. Affects choices. When money increases significantly, choices that were impossible become possible. Can say no to exploitation because you're not desperate. Can say yes to opportunities that require investment. Can choose based on growth, not just survival. Affects identity. How you see yourself changes when financial reality changes. Person who struggles financially becomes person who has resources. That identity shift affects confidence, affects what you pursue, affects what you believe you deserve, affects future possibilities, can plan longer term, can invest in education, can start business, can relocate, can make decisions that pay off years from now instead of just surviving day to day. Forever doesn't mean nothing ever goes wrong again. Doesn't mean no challenges, doesn't mean permanent ease without effort. Forever means you don't go back to old baseline, don't return to previous level of financial stress, don't unlearn what you learn about managing money, don't lose capacities you develop through having more. You might have new problems, better problems, problems that indicate progress, not stuckness, but old struggle, old level of financial desperation that ends tomorrow and doesn't return. What's actually happening starting tomorrow? The mechanics could be opportunity presenting, job offer arriving, client signing, deal closing, partnership forming, investment paying off, inheritance clearing, settlement finalizing. Whatever the specific channel door opens tomorrow, maybe you've known it was coming, maybe you've been waiting for approval or signature or decision, and tomorrow is when waiting ends and having begins. Or maybe you have no idea what's coming. Maybe tomorrow brings email you weren't expecting, call that surprises you, encounter that creates opening, message that shifts everything. Either way, tomorrow is an ideation, is when chain reaction starts, even if full effects take days or weeks to fully manifest. Could be shift in thinking that precede as money arriving, idea that won't leave you alone, solution to problem you've been stuck on, clarity about what to do that's been eluding you. And that shift, that cognitive breakthrough, creates conditions for money to follow, creates action you haven't been taking, creates positioning you haven't been maintaining, creates opening you haven't been creating. Tomorrow, you think differently, and thinking differently leads to choosing differently, which leads to receiving differently. Could be internal block dissolving, belief that's been preventing wealth. I don't deserve money. Rich people are bad. I'm not good with finances. Money always leaves, suddenly becomes questionable instead of absolute. And when block dissolves, when limiting belief cracks, you become available for wealth in ways you weren't before. Become able to receive without immediately sabotaging. Become able to hold without panic or guilt destroying it. Tomorrow, the block that's been invisible becomes visible, and visible can be addressed, and addressed can be released, and released creates space for money to arrive and stay. Could be meeting person tomorrow who becomes connector, who knows someone who needs exactly what you offer, who opens door, who makes introduction, who creates pathway to wealth you couldn't have accessed alone. One conversation tomorrow changes trajectory. One connection made changes what's possible. One person entering your orbit creates domino effect that leads to money arriving. What you should do between now and tomorrow's shift. Clear space for rich to arrive, literally and metaphorically. Clean physical space. Organize finances even if finances are currently disaster. Create mental space by releasing worry about how money will come. Space creates room. Room allows receiving. Can't receive fully into life that's already overflowing with chaos and clutter. Prepare to say yes quickly. When opportunity arrives tomorrow, when offer comes, when opening appears, when invitation is extended, say yes fast. Don't deliberate for weeks. Don't analyze to death. Don't let fear disguised as prudence make you miss window. Rich people don't get rich by being slow to decide on good opportunities. Get rich by recognizing opportunity and moving fast before window closes. Practice that starting tomorrow. Fast yes, fast decision, fast movement when opening appears. Identify what you'll do with money when it arrives, not to control it, to prepare for stewardship. Will you pay debt, build emergency fund, invest, use some for relief and some for growth? Having plan, even rough plan, means money arriving doesn't create panic or immediate waste through overwhelm. Means you can receive and deploy strategically instead of just reacting. Manage the voice that says, this is too good to be true, that says rich isn't for people like you, that says tomorrow is just another day, same as every other day. That voice is protection, is trying to prevent disappointment by preventing hope. But preventing hope also prevents readiness, prevents recognizing opportunity, prevents being available to receive. You can acknowledge voice without letting it decide. Yes, brain, I hear you. You're scared. Thank you for trying to protect me. And also, I'm choosing openness anyway. And stay present tomorrow. Don't sleepwalk through day on autopilot. Don't be so buried in routine that you miss what's arriving. Notice what's different, what appears, what shifts. Opportunities don't always announce themselves with fanfare. Sometimes arrive quietly, through normal seeming email, through casual conversation, through encounter that seems random but isn't. If you're not paying attention, if you're assuming tomorrow will be same as today, you might miss the very thing that's arriving to change everything. This reflection invites you to consider, what would rich actually look like for you specifically? What amount? What changes? What becomes possible that isn't possible now? What stress dissolves? What doors open? Be specific, not vague. I want to be comfortable. Actual vision of what rich means for your life. Clarity helps you recognize when it's arriving. This reflection invites you to consider, what belief about money or wealth have you been carrying that might block receiving? I don't deserve it. Money corrupts. I'm bad with money. It'll just leave anyway. Rich people are greedy. I have to and struggle to be worthy. Whatever belief surfaces, that's probably what needs releasing starting tomorrow so wealth can actually land and stay. This reflection invites you to consider, who in your life would you tell first when wealth arrives? And WHO, would you not tell? Who would celebrate genuinely versus who would create negativity or suddenly have needs or make judgments? Knowing who's safe helps you protect wealth from people who drain it or sabotage it through their own unhealed relationship with money. This reflection invites you to consider, what's one action you could take tomorrow to position yourself for receiving wealth? Check email thoroughly, make call you've been avoiding, submit application, follow up on lead, show up to place you wouldn't normally be, open account, research investment. One action creates momentum, creates participation in what's arriving rather than passive waiting. What happens after tomorrow's shift initiates evidence appearing, maybe immediately, maybe within days, maybe within weeks, but evidence that yes, something shifted, money arriving through expected or unexpected channel, opportunity presenting, door opening. That evidence creates confirmation. Confirmation builds faith. Faith creates more openness. Openness allows more to arrive. Positive feedback loop. Adjustment period. Having more creates new challenges, not bad challenges, but new ones. How to manage, how to invest, how to avoid waste, how to handle people's reactions, how to stay grounded. And that adjustment is normal, is learning curve. Doesn't mean you're failing at wealth, just means you're new at it, and newness requires learning. Temptation to doubt it's real, to wait for other shoe to drop, to assume it's temporary, to sabotage through disbelief or through choices that destroy what's arriving. Resist that temptation. Let wealth be real. Let it establish. Let it become baseline, not just anomaly. And becoming person who has wealth versus person who wants wealth, identity shift, mindset shift, behavioral shift. You're not poor person who got lucky. You're a person with resources now. That shift takes time, but it's essential. Because person who sees themselves as fundamentally lacking will unconsciously recreate lack even when wealth arrives. But person who sees self as capable of having and managing wealth will build on what arrives instead of destroying it. The power is yours. It always has been. Starting from tomorrow, your life is going to change forever. You're going to be rich. And when tomorrow arrives, when shift initiates through opportunity presenting or thinking, shifting or block dissolving or person appearing, your job is noticing what's different, saying yes quickly to opportunities, managing blocks and doubts, preparing to steward wealth wisely, and becoming person who has resources, not just person who wants them. Take what resonates, softly release the rest, trust yourself. And listen, you've been waiting for this, working toward this, surviving without this while hoping it would come, doubting it would come while still secretly wanting it tea. Tomorrow is answer. Tomorrow is shift starting. Tomorrow is when waiting ends and having begins. But tomorrow requires you showing up, requires you noticing, requires you being available to receive instead of so defended that opportunity arrives and you miss it entirely. So tomorrow, wake up, pay attention, notice what's different, recognize opening, say yes, receive, become rich. Take care.